I'm a master mariner, so a ship's captain. So I've spent my entire academic career in life studying to be a ship's captain, working as a ship's captain. When I was fortunate enough to get this job, I very quickly realized that it's one thing learning something, it's a very different thing teaching it. So when the opportunity came up to learn more about how to teach people, it was invaluable.
I just wanted to dip my toe into some CPD around teaching and learning because my qualifications up to that point were very much in domain-specific areas.
Essentially, it was to update my skills, but also the modules really appealed to me. I was interested in them, and the fact that if I didn't complete it, I could step off at each stage and still have a level 9 qualification. It affirmed or reaffirmed some of the stuff that I was already doing, and it gave me a lot of new ideas of how I could improve on what I was already doing.
Promoting me to kind of critically reflect on my own practices. It sounds quite simple, but I think actually just engaging with that process, you kind of realize that maybe the way I was teaching up to that point was purely because that's the way I myself was taught, and I wasn't really being informed by the pedagogical state of the art or best practices in that area. So I think that was a simple takeaway, but something that has impacted what I do quite significantly.
But if there was one thing, feedback and the value of exams and assessment as a learning tool, both for the students and for the lecturer.
What was brilliant there, from an assessment and feedback perspective, was the Canvas quizzes and stuff. They were available online once you've been put together, and provided you're not moved off that particular course, they're there to be used. What I thought was fabulous again about it was that the learner could go back and do it and redo it.
I learned about curriculum, I learned about RPL, I learned about various things, but what meant most to me was the assessment and feedback. I would like to think that I was able to engage in the conversation at a departmental level about the role of assessment. The more I read, I realised assessment should be a learning experience. It's not a product, it's actually a process. You have to engage more with your students. For me, I had to kind of be quiet and decide to listen a little bit more to them, ask more, what do you think, and get them engaged.
I looked at exams and assessment as a very summative way of proving your knowledge rather than looking at exams and assessment as part of the whole learning process. And there was also then, great side bits that I took out of it, like using Kahoot, and in many ways, we were very much more prepared for this whole online learning that we all had to jump to in the pandemic and the shutdown, because we had already been playing around and experimenting with Kahoots and online quizzes. So I think that was hugely valuable for me.
I've definitely become much more student-centered in my approach to learning. So, that typically means providing maybe more choice around things like delivery type, assessment types. It also means giving more responsibility to the students, and I've introduced a lot of active learning and kind of developed my feedback processes as well. So I think that fundamental kind of student-centered approach is the big thing I've implemented and the big change I've made.
Absolutely, I would recommend the course to anyone involved in teaching and learning. I learned loads myself. The lecturing team is brilliant, very supportive. I learned a lot from the other classmates as well. And I met people, I suppose, that I wouldn't normally meet in my normal working life, and learning what they were doing is very interesting as well.
You really do need to learn how to help other people learn. And I would highly recommend it.
I would most definitely. It's very good. Why is it good? It's continuous, it's sustained, and it's long term. I think the way the course is structured, it's certificate, postgrad development, masters. So at any stage that you had to walk away, you were never losing. You were always going to gain something from it. It was a platform for personal and professional exchanges. So for me, it was such a supportive environment. And I don't think you can do something like this without support.
Absolutely. I think I would say to anyone thinking of taking the course, the absolute worst outcome that you'll get is that you'll be a better teacher by the end of it.